Hey, so here I am again. Different room, better lighting, same shirt. I'm wearing the same shirt for 2 days. I couldn't care less at this point. Anyways, so I'm going to talk about fundamentals today, and fundamentals is essentially graphic design slash general arts for the type of projects you'll be doing, and I'm going to talk about the projects we'll be doing first semester. This is just, I kept a whole binder of my projects, and I'm just going to go through them briefly and talk a little bit more about the ones you'll be doing first semester. This is actually one of the first projects you do for fundamentals. Coincidentally, it's at the front of my binder. It's called the title type project, and essentially you have to pick a word that is one of the principles of design. For example, space and mass, proximity, symmetry, texture, rhythm, blah, 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 blah. You choose one of those words and you have to put it in typography that reflects what the word means. So, for example, if you had the word texture, maybe the letters would look furry. That was a really easy kill, but just to give you the right idea. And this project was the first. You had to do a lot of process work. And this is a good intro to that because every single project you do, you'll find that the process work is worth as much as the final product. For example, for this project, we had to come up with 10 different thumbnails, 10 different ideas for what our title type could be. So I chose the words space and mass. And actually, this was one of my final ones right there, space and mass. The final product of this is done on mounting board, so white, it's not cardboard, it's mounting board, what else can I say? And it's done with India ink and fine liner. And then these thumbnails are just done on tracing paper and with a Prismacolor marker. Perhaps the outline will change a bit year to year, however, it should be very minimal, as I write a new curriculum every single year. Okay, another project we did following this in first semester was the graphic communication project. And with this one, we had to choose an accessory, an object that we had to illustrate in 3 different ways. So I chose a pocket watch that I owned, and first of all, we had to photograph it, so we had something to reference. And then we had to develop different ideas for angles to shoot it. And then we had to sketch it the 3 different ways I mentioned. 1, we had to do it in pencil. 2, we had to do it in pen. And then thirdly, we had to do it digitally and do a really graphic, modern interpretation of it. These were my process work. I don't know how to speak today. This was my process work for the graphic layout. There you go. This was actually over here, the one that I settled on and did in a good copy. And this is what my pencil drawing was. So let me just see. Do I have the original photo here? Yes, I do. Right there. Yeah, lovely. And then another thing you'll be introduced to in design is doing tracing paper overlay. So essentially just a little flap. It protects your work. Very important. Anyways, so this was my pencil rendering of it. And this was my pen drawing of it. And not only was it accessories, a lot of people did, like I said, objects, just like gourds or like nuts, like any small object. Anything that will give you interesting textures to draw and be able to show off your artistic abilities or, you know, hide your lack of artistic abilities in certain areas. And also, I'll just briefly talk about this because all these projects I have in a binder, I put everything in a plastic sleeve and then I put the rubric in the front of it to know what I got on it. And for this one, my feedback was that I should have developed the stronger graphic layout, which I agree with. And again, it's all about the process work. They want to see how you're thinking, how much effort you're putting into it, where your thought process is going, how much you've edited and revised yourself and started over again. That's really important to not only the program, but the industry. This was my final project for first semester in fundamentals. It's called sequence and transition, or transition and sequence. Either way, essentially you're making 6 still frames of a GIF. It is GIF, not GIF. I am sorry. I am saying GIF. I don't care. And then mine actually, Jen Forrester said it was not inappropriate, but it was a touchy subject, so I wasn't allowed to put mine on the board or share with students. I'm gonna do it now. So this is some undisclosed footage. You're welcome. Disgusting process work that I totally faked. Yeah. Oh, that's not even process work. Oops, awkward. That's process work. You know, and then each stage in the process work, it'll be essentially brainstorming, refined color thumbnails, mini versions finished, final product. So I'm going to say for process work, usually 3 stages. So I was originally going to do, this one of them, ideas was Joe Fresh. And so I took the Joe Fresh logo and it tore apart and burned down to be a burning building because in 2012 there was the Dhaka fire in the factory that collapsed and set on fire, and they produced clothing for Joe Fresh. And so this was my final product. There you go. This was done using gouache. I hate gouache so much. You have to use gouache all the time during this course. And if you haven't heard of gouache, gouache is opaque watercolor. It comes in a tube, and you have to use a bit of water with it. It's really streaky. If you touch it, again, even right now if I touch it, you'll see my fingerprints on it because the oil in my hands reactivates the paint. It gets everywhere. It's expensive. I hate gouache. 2K15 petition against using it in the program because it's expensive. Also, I'm just looking at this now, but with most projects, you have to write a one-page rationale explaining what it means. You know, like, what's the meaning of this piece? Like, what does it symbolize? I'm 100% serious. You have to write these. And not only just what your idea and inspiration behind it was, but your technical issues with it and how you approach those and how you revised and how you chose the medium. Dick! That's it! So those 3 projects are your 3 projects for the semester. There you go. And then you also do have a small midterm and exam, which is like 30 multiple choice questions about random stuff you talk about in the lecture about the principles of design and color. It's really easy. Like, I have no words for that. I've never studied for anything in fundamentals for the exam. I'm just saying. So I'm also going to gloss over this because you do this during second semester. However, you do part of it during first. I'll show you the 2 exercises you have to complete during first semester. I don't know if they're going to do that as well next year because for our year at least they wanted to split it up between first and second, so they kind of warmed you up to this project by introducing a bit of it during first. Here's my color wheel. I hope you like it. And this color wheel, though, you had to paint each swatch yourself with gouache. And as you can say, stock gouache 2K15, it can be hard to work with. And it gets very streaky. And also you have to cut it and mount it and make it look hella good. So if you look at mine, I'm just going to be straight up with this. This got a 60%. 60% isn't bad. It just means average student work. However, like, I know my colors. Yeah, it's frustrating and tedious, this project, but it's an easy way to get marks if you're patient and you stick to it. And then I also had to paint one for hue, value, and chroma. That's this exercise. There we go. And that one, I got an 87.5. Holla at your girl. The best tip I can recommend for these exercises, you won't be doing the bulk until second semester. However, it'll make your life 10 times easier, is use double-sided tape, not rubber cement. Rubber cement, if you haven't used it before, is a special type of glue that you use to mount things because it doesn't really take time to dry. You can fiddle with it a bit and it stays. Why is it so bright? I'm getting so much glare off my glasses. I'm just going to take them off. Okay. So do you know what? While I'm on this topic, let me just find my list. I'm going to talk about the kit now. So you have things for cutting, because as you can see, a lot of the time I had to trim my pictures and do those color exercises. You have to cut those swatches. And so you'll need a cutting board and an X-Acto knife with blades. You'll also need a lot of mounting boards, so called high art boards. That's the brand. You can buy them at Curry's. They're white and they're big, and you'll cut them to size because each project is a different dimension. You also will need a color aid kit. I mentioned that before. However, for those projects you saw, I didn't buy color aid paper. I used origami paper and cardstock from Michael's Craft Store, and that's much cheaper. Fine liner black pens, and again, you can just buy these at, not even Staples carries them. Then you need gouache, and it's a very specific brand they tell you to get, but I just, this is what I did. So my friend who bought the kit, I looked at her colors and just painted like one stroke of each color so I knew what they looked like wet and dry. And then I brought that to Curry's and matched it because the gouache they sell at the campus store is $8 a tube. That's right, $8 a tube, and they're about this big. They're only like 15 milliliters. Versus at Curry's, you can get one that's 100 milliliters for $8. But still, I just got those little ones because that's all I needed sometimes. And those are about $4 at Curry's. And if you're willing to put the time into color matching, it is so worth it. You'll need a steel corkback ruler. Yes, you will. That's very important. You can get those at any craft store. You'll need a mixing tray. Yes, you will. You do quite a bit of gouache painting in second semester. Not as much first, but again, those 2 exercises, you will need it if you do them. It says Paper Tisano Dark Gray. I remember shopping this and thinking, the fuck? How much more pretentious could this program get? I am an absolute fashion snob. However, this paper is essentially just gray Canson paper. Canson paper is like $1 for this giant sheet. Just go buy it. So much cheaper, and you'll need a lot of it first semester and second semester for mounting stuff. You'll also need rubber cement. I mentioned this before, but rubber cement is so important. In the kits, they only give you a little bottle about this big. That's going to last you for a couple months. However, the rest of the year, you'll need a lot more. So buy it in bulk and get a large tin of it. You can get it at Curry's, again, for like 20 bucks. And then also do buy the little one for $5 because it comes with a brush versus the big one is just a refill. That is essentially the fundamentals kit, and that one's the most expensive at $235. And the reason for that is mostly the frickin' gouache and the color aid kit, because screw both of those. I didn't buy any of this kit. I'm so glad. I do hope that video was helpful in preparing you for the upcoming first semester of fashion design. Don't worry, it's not like you have to arrive first day with all these materials. You will see on the outline each week what you need to bring to class, so don't stress out about needing to get everything for the first day. Anyways, I'm going to be making a few more videos before I blast off back to Ryerson, so I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye! Leave all your questions below and message me as usual.